Hello, welcome to this edition of Reporters on France 24, the magazine that showcases the work of our reporters around the world. This week we head to the Comoros, an archipelago in the Indian Ocean just between Madagascar and Mozambique. A few days ago, the island of Anjouan, part of the Comoros Federation, was the scene of a dramatic military landing which led to the fall of its president, Colonel Mohamed Bacar. Now, Bacar seized power in 2001, but the Comoros government and the African Union ruled his re-election in 2007 illegal and began planning his removal. So how did the small Comoran army, backed by a few African Union troops and supported by former colonial power France, manage to oust Bacar? France 24's Frank Berruyer witnessed the operation firsthand. Here is his exclusive report.
War songs and tribal dances. These Tanzanian soldiers are ready for battle. It's the last rehearsal before the landing. The Operation Democracy in the Comoran Islands has been launched. It's a 2-hour crossing to get to Anjouan. All flights, all ferries have been cancelled, the phone lines have been disconnected, the island has been cut off from the rest of the world. On the road which leads to the presidential palace, a few soldiers are on guard, but they're very discreet. With a bulletproof car, tainted windows, and a bodyguard, he's got everything to give himself a presidential aura. Colonel Bacar never travels without his corps of bodyguards. This officer, trained in French and American schools, is the one the Comoran government wants to overthrow. He seized power in Anjouan in 2001 in a military coup before holding an election many said was illegal. The international community has criticized Bacar for his authoritarian regime.
Unfortunately, I think we also have other dictators. When dictators are spoken of, they're not men who want to respect the law, they're the ones who want to make the law. I am a victim of those who manufacture information without verifying their sources, and unfortunately that works against me.
His picture is plastered all over his office. He accepts to meet a few journalists and tells them he will never resign.
On the contrary, you know what? I'm going to welcome those who want to overthrow me and have tea with them right here. I'll tell them that nobody ever wins with a Kalashnikov, but with wisdom and a sense of responsibility.
Colonel Bacar's flag flies proudly above the presidential palace. It used to be the symbol of the island's former sultans. For members of the Comoran Union, it's an insult, but Bacar's supporters see nothing wrong with the picture.
Well, first of all, he's someone who's very calm and serene. He's a pacifist, even if that's not the first thing that comes to mind when you think of Mohamed Bacar. He's tall, he's a colonel, and that's why one can imagine he will always choose the path of violence. But it's really the opposite. He's much softer than those turban-wearing integrists who sing their preaching about religion.
Today is the meeting of the Council of Ministers. President Bacar's last remaining supporters are gathered around the table. All of these dignitaries are wanted men. The Interior Minister, nicknamed Sarkozy, is here to lay out their defense strategy.
We're on tenterhooks.
Are you good and ready?
Absolutely. We're more determined than ever. We've seen a lot worse in this country. We're not scared, we're not alarmed.
10 days have gone by. Anjouan wakes to the sound of cannon fire in the distance. Small groups of men have been deployed throughout the island and are hiding at strategic points. Officers are posted at their stations. The landing has begun.
It's a rocket.
What's that over there?
It's rocket fire over there.
The men don't look reassured. The offensive has been launched in 2 separate areas. They know they are caught in the middle. The order has been given to resist.
They landed at dawn at 4 a.m.
Were there many of them?
We don't know because we can't see them.
Are you ready for them?
Of course we are.
Aren't you worried about being outnumbered?
Even if there are lots of them, they don't scare us.
Comorans fighting Comorans. The battle has begun. The Anjouan officers try to avoid all contact. They're nervous and withdraw on the main road that leads to the presidential palace. A little further south, a roadblock has been set up. Only a handful of Bacar supporters have come out to help the police.
We, as Anjouanese, see them as our enemies. In fact, they're worse than our enemies. They're not Comorians. If they were, they would have negotiated. We never wanted to fight against anyone. We, as Anjouanese, we have rights. We want our rights to be respected. We want to be an island that's autonomous and independent.
2 hours later, on the same road, the order is given to attack. The Comoran troops, backed by the Tanzanians, start to move ahead. House after house. It's hard to know who's shooting who. The area is under heavy fire. The soldiers hang on tight.
He hid in the house. There, right behind there.
Get on the other side.
This house is considered dangerous. A soldier is called in for backup. The area needs to be cleaned up. 2 rockets hit the building. Then it's time to assess the damage.
Don't shoot, don't shoot.
There's one inside. There's somebody inside there. Don't shoot, don't shoot, don't shoot.
In this house, the soldiers found one of Bacar's supporters hidden in a corner. Mohamed, who we'd run into just a bit earlier.
Are you the one who shot us?
I've done nothing. I'm not the one. It wasn't me. I'm not the one that took the RPG home. So help me God, it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Despite his calls for help, the punches keep coming down.
Is it true what you're telling us? That you didn't have this rocket in your house? There was no RPG? That's what you're saying?
I didn't bring it home. I'm not the one that brought it home.
You're lying. I can see it in your eyes. You're the one who had this weapon.
Mohamed has been badly beaten. Made prisoner, now he's going to be taken to the hospital. He lost an eye in the fight. The troops continue moving forward. At the end of this road lies one of Bacar's strongholds. It's the police headquarters. The population nicknamed this building the Pentagon, known for its ill treatment of prisoners.
No forget. No problem. Patagon near for here, from here. Near 200 meters from here. Okay? But no problem.
Let's go. We didn't come here to have fun. Move! Yes, let's go. We're gonna hit hard. We're going to catch Mohamed Bacar with our own 2 hands.
They're here, in the forest. Go ahead, shoot!
Let's go, troops. We're going home, troops.
Nothing is more invigorating than the love of one's country. That's what gives them the courage to push ahead. A few isolated shooters slow them down. The soldiers shoot at everything that moves and anything that doesn't. They meet little resistance. They're able to take control of the Pentagon quite easily, without having lost a single man. Inside the station, no time to lose. A few Kalashnikov shots to break open the locks. And every door gets a bullet. Every room is carefully inspected. But the building is empty. The officers have run away.
Slowly, slowly! Slowly, yeah, no problem.
Bacar's red flag is quickly taken down. Victory, the soldiers cry out in joy. Inside, it's complete chaos. The visit draws on and on.
Let's go! Let's go!
The lieutenant is having a hard time regaining control of his troops. Their happiness and relief to have succeeded has completely overwhelmed them.
We haven't come all this way to have fun now. We're here to free the Anjouan autonomous island. That's our duty, and we're ready for it.
Shoot a little higher, they're up there.
President Bacar's troops seek refuge in the forest. The population followed the battle closely. A crowd of young kids, mostly guys, cheer and cry out the name of their army and that of the Comoran army.
We want war because all of us are tired. For years we've had to put up with this situation. Today we're very proud. That's why we're all here.
But they don't control the entire island yet, so it's time to head into the island's higher plateaus as the night falls. At dawn, the Comoran flag floats above the presidential palace. It's a new victory for the coalition soldiers. This is the president's office. Soldiers parade with their weapons. It took them 3 hours to take control of the palace, but they missed President Bacar.
If we find Bacar, we chop off his head.
If we find him, we slit his throat.
Why?
Because he's a criminal and a rebel.
Despite the soldiers' need for revenge, Bacar is nowhere to be found. In a matter of hours, he was able to make his escape to Mayotte, the French island across the waters. Anger replaces joy.
I asked the French government to hand over Mohamed Bacar because he pillaged our country.
What I want is that all means be used to bring Mohamed Bacar back to the Comorian Islands so that he can be tried.
I think France needs to leave the Comoros alone. It's a sovereign country, one which is allowed to choose its friends. Because our real family in the Comorian Islands are the Arabs and Africans, not the Europeans.
The women of the island have also come out into the streets to celebrate the fall of President Bacar and to pray for better days. They brandish a portrait of Sambi, the Comoran president, as they proudly sing, "God, give us an Ayatollah for president."
Well, joining us now, France 24's Frank Berruyer, who witnessed the removal of Colonel Bacar in Anjouan firsthand. Frank, first off, how did Mohamed Bacar manage to flee Anjouan?
Just like everybody does on that island, they went by sea. They have kwasa-kwasa. These are very quick boats, light boats that go from island to island. And Mohamed took about 20 of his men in the middle of the afternoon to go to the neighboring island of Mayotte. He succeeded in getting through this very tight grid of the African Union troops and so forth. And he was under the protection of the island of Mayotte. He went through that. There's a lot of radar. There are a lot of French border police. It was incredible that he was actually able to get in because there are a lot of clandestine people sneaking into the country anyway. He took the South Pass to go to his brother's place, and he actually turned himself in to the French authorities. So it was a very difficult escape.
Bacar is out of Anjouan now. What future for the island? Who's going to rule Anjouan?
For the moment, the island actually comes under the Comoran Union. The three islands that constitute that state, they work together, and there is a vice president of Comoran, which was appointed for a short period, awaiting elections, and the army has installed itself on the island again to ensure security. And there will be, as I say, elections in the month of May, the vice president said, to re-elect a president for this autonomous island that is part of this sort of federation of the Comoros.
Frank, let's talk about the operation for a moment again. From afar, it seems to be quite a disproportionate operation. I mean, we seldom hear about Anjouan in the news. What is at stake exactly in this part of Africa?
This is a very strategic area. The Mozambique Channel is actually the alternative to the Suez Canal. So we have to survey maritime traffic. For the moment, France has a platform with Mayotte, and other countries are interested in deploying in that region from a commercial point of view, and also in the struggle against terrorism, the fight against terrorism. For the last few years in Comoran, we do see Arabs from the Gulf who are trading in this area, and Americans as well are quite present, and they want to open up an embassy on that island. There's actually no real source of wealth. They're focusing a lot. There's a lot of attention focusing on that island now.
As you mentioned, supported the operation to oust Bacar, but its role in the mission was heavily criticized. What's France's strategy in this part of Africa?
One thing that's sure is that France officially sided with the coalition. They supported the operation to overthrow Colonel Bacar. Now, insofar as the flight of Bacar to a French colony, the anti-French sentiment, people actually demonstrated and complained in front of the French embassy, and in Mayotte as well. They have this anti-French sentiment. France is perceived in this part of the Indian Ocean, as just as in most of Africa, there's a kind of an anti-French sentiment that's increasing and that develops with every crisis. And many people feel that the flight of the colonel to Mayotte was really France protecting the colonel and encouraging him to escape to Mayotte and then on to the Reunion Island.
Thank you very much for sharing your experience with us. That's it for this edition of Reporters on France 24. If you'd like to catch Berruyer's report, you can log on to our website at France24.com. Join us again next week, same time, for another edition of Reporters. Thanks for watching.